Hey everyone, I'm James Bowerman with the Real Creative Group, and today I'm here with Kirstin Northcraft with Goose Head Insurance, and we're going to be talking about homeowners insurance, why you need it, what it covers, and all sorts of other fun insurance things. So Kirstin, for the people watching who don't know who you are, tell us a little about what do you do and Goose Head and fun stuff with insurance.
I know insurance is such a fun topic, but it's important. So my name's Kirstin Northcraft with Goose Head Insurance. We're a broker. What that means is I can quote with about 30 companies, save you that time and legwork, and then give you a consultative look at what the market looks like and what I recommend.
Excellent. Yeah, I love working with brokers because you're able to shop and really get the customer the best rate and the best package, I would say, that fits their needs.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little about some of the companies that you do work with. You said 30 of them?
Yeah, so we work with Nationwide, Liberty Mutual, Progressive, Travelers, AAA, Allstate, a bunch of well-known companies. So yeah, all the ones that you've heard about all the time.
Awesome. So it's more of a one-stop shop. Don't have to go to each individual one. You can take care of it for them. One swoop. All right, Kirstin. So when it comes to homeowner insurance, let's talk about why we need it. Obviously, in real estate, I help home buyers all the time, and it's one of the things we check off. Did you get your homeowner's insurance? Why do we need it?
So we need it because the bank is going to require it at closing, like you mentioned, and then your home is a big asset. It's probably the biggest asset that we own as a homeowner. So you want to make sure that your homeowner's insurance is in place to protect you from the unforeseeable.
Okay, well, let's transition then into the unforeseeable and talk about what are some of the things that the homeowner's insurance is going to cover.
So there are some coverages that are automatically included in your policy. Wind and hail are going to be huge claims that you might put in. A windstorm comes through, knocks off some shingles, you get some damage because of that. That's definitely covered. Things like fire. I had an insured that had a barbecue on his back deck, and an ember hit the deck and ended up engulfing in flames, caused a big fire at his house, and it was probably the biggest claim I've ever had to date. So they paid all the way to the policy limits, and that's definitely an occurrence that would be unforeseeable, and that would be important to have homeowners insurance to make sure you get what you had back.
Sure. Yeah, certainly unexpected. Did they end up replacing or rebuilding their home, or how did that end up working out?
They ended up rebuilding their home, and actually while they were displaced because they can't live in the house, they were able to use their insurance to stay somewhere else temporarily. That's covered while it was getting repaired. So that was pretty cool.
That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that typical claims coverage for things that happen to a house?
Yeah, typical theft and vandalism, they happen, again, unforeseeable, so that's covered up to the policy limits. And water is a big thing. I don't think water flows through our entire house, and I don't think people really realize that other than electricity, water is the biggest commodity in our house, and it can wreak havoc if it were to overflow, if the sump pump were to fail. So those are just coverages that I recommend on the homeowner's insurance for sure.
Yeah, I've had a lot of issues with water in homes, especially in this area around the bay with the water table, heavy rains. Definitely something that you want to make sure that's protected and covered.
Yep.
Anything else?
So falling objects. Okay. So tree, if a tree falls on your house and you get damage from that, totally covered, again, unforeseeable, and I can imagine if you have a pretty big tree that could do some damage.
Absolutely. Reminds me of I was selling my parents' house a couple of years ago, and we were 7 days away from settlement, and a huge tree, probably this big around, fell on top of the house, drug all the way down the roof, made a big hole, ripped off the whole front porch, and a lot of the siding coming with it. And it was crazy getting that call that, oh, a tree landed on the house. I'm like, what do you mean? And so we had to call the insurance company, and they sent out an emergency response team, and they had to get this tree off the house. Still got a video of that. We're able to patch it up with tarps. Ultimately, they put a new roof on, put new siding on, rebuilt the porch. We closed a few weeks later, and basically the buyer got some free upgrades. So it did work out. thankfully, because we had the homeowner
Yeah,
insurance.
thankfully nobody was hurt in that instance, and if they were hurt, that would be covered as well up to the policy limits. And you know, if it was raining and that happened, the water damage that came into the house and damaged, as long as it started with that tree, that fallen object, it's covered up to the limits on your policy. So that's.
and I just remember they did cover for them to be in temporary housing to. You know,
because they can't live there.
You can't live there. No, absolutely not. So, and they had to inspect it, make sure it was still structurally sound and all this stuff. So, definitely one of those moments when you're glad you have the insurance.
Yeah.
All right. So, moving on from what it covers, maybe let's talk about like what it does not cover. Maybe things you want to add on to your policy, or just assumptions that you think you're covered for this, but you're not.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I recommend, and I always offer it to my clients. And so one of them is jewelry. I recommend adding on a rider on your policy for jewelry, anything that's valuable, any antiques, basically anything appraisable onto your policy for sure.
And that's to protect if somebody breaks into your home and steals your jewelry, you're covered for that.
Yeah, or if you have a fire or it's damaged in that way on the perils.
Okay.
So water backup, like I mentioned, is not automatically covered on your policy. You have to endorse that on.
Okay.
I always offer it. I don't think I've written a policy without it, so definitely recommend that. That's for anything from sinks, tubs, sump that overflow.
Okay.
Different than something that's not covered is flood. Flood insurance is not covered.
Flood, rain coming in from the outside, but definitely a lot of sump pumps in this area. I've got a couple of them. Most of the houses around here, they have the sump pumps. And even going back to my parents' house, when the power goes out, if you don't have the battery backup, and is that the same thing as it's the sump pump, right? Even though water might be raining, but that's covered under the sump pump, right?
If the sump pump fails and water comes in, that's covered under the water backup coverage.
Okay.
But if the sump pump just can't keep up with the water, that's flood.
Okay.
So it's kind of a gray area there. Yeah. Just talk to your insurance agent and make sure that you have a clear understanding.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the additional, is it a rider? Is that what we call it? Okay, if you don't have the sump pump rider, you won't have anything, right? And it's not included by default. Exactly. Okay.
It's not, and I 100% recommend it. So if you don't have it on your policy, I would talk to your agent.
For sure.
Yeah. Something else that I would also add, and that's becoming more of an instance, is underground utility line coverage. Okay. So it's for the lines in the ground from your house to the street.
Okay.
And that could be, you know, the gas line, the water line, the sewage line, if you have city. Mm-hmm. Those things are normally not covered because they're not part of the structure. They're actually in the ground. And again, it becomes like a little bit of a gray area on like when the city steps in and what's your responsibility. So
I've run into several issues with that on inspections, and it's really from the connection outside to the house that's the issue, and replacing that pipe. And then a lot of questions pop up as who's responsible.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that the pipe fails. It could be that there's tree invasion, the root invasion of a tree, things like that. If you have the endorsement on your policy, it will be covered. So it's just becoming more and more of an occurrence. Yeah.
All right, Kirstin. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate all the info. I hope you guys appreciate all this information as well. But if you have more questions, or you're shopping for homeowners insurance, or you do auto and
we do auto insurance, umbrella, life.
You can package and get all the savings.
Rental properties. You could do it all pretty much.
Perfect. So if they want to get a hold of you, how should they contact you?
Yeah, you can call or text me at 410-793-7615. That's my direct line. And if you want to get a quote, you can just go to www.thatinsuranceMama.com.
ThatinsuranceMama.com. All right, we'll put that on the screen. Thank you again, Kirstin. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
If you have any questions, you can also leave a comment below. Until next time, we'll see you again soon.